Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Zelda Cast here on ZeldaDungeon.net. My name is Andy Spiteri, joined by Allison Aletha. What's going on, Al? How you doing on this fine Sunday?
I'm doing better. It's been a little bit of a grumpy week. I was telling you pre-show that my AC doesn't work. I'm sure I've said that on the show before because it hasn't worked for the last like 3 summers. And I'm just really stubborn. I don't want to spend the money to get it fixed. And so my house has been like consistently 87 degrees and it's been awful. But today it got to 76 degrees. So even though that still sucks, it's better than what it's been. So I'm happy today.
Sam and I kind of have a little bit of a war where, like, I will go to the AC and, like, turn it way down to, like,
hmm
19 degrees, 20 degrees, and she'll be like, we're paying too much for this, and turn it back up to, like, 22 or 23 or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I understand. I understand that feeling, Al. It's not good.
I like it. I rather it be my old like consistently was 68, but now I've kind of like 70. And I'll just get a blanket or put on some sweats.
I see. Yeah, yeah. It's way easier to be too cold than it is to be too hot.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay. Well, we are bringing back a segment that has not appeared for. Hey, you know what? Actually, it's not been that long. I think we definitively ranked Breath of the Wild, like, I don't know,
Yeah,
a couple
maybe
months
10
ago.
episodes ago. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So, yeah. But anyways, we're bringing definitive ranking back. We're going to be going somewhere we've never went before, and that is to our Nintendo DSs, and we are going to be talking about the first Nintendo DS game, the Legend of Zelda series, Phantom Hourglass, and we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly in that game, because I do think there is a mix of all three. Before we get going, though, Al, I want to quickly say I rolled credits on DK Bananza.
Uh-huh.
And so when the game came out, I kept on hearing there's all these like Donkey Kong spoilers, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me! Like, what is a Donkey Kong spoiler? Like, like it. When has the plot ever mattered in a Donkey Kong game? Finishing the game, I will say there is something of a spoiler to that game, and
hmm
I thought that the last, let's call like the last level, maybe two levels, took the game from like an 8 out of 10 to like a 9 out of 10. And I'm actually committed to like going through and getting like all the bananas. There's 777 bananas, and I think I'm about
Why?
100 away.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna do
Is
it.
it kind of the same as like in Mario Odyssey where you're collecting, was it stars? Is it like the same
Moons.
idea as that?
Yeah, yeah,
Moons, that's right. Okay.
yeah. To be honest, that's one of my critiques of the game, is that like there are so many bananas in like every kind of level that it feels closer to catching Koroks than it does to finding a
Mhm.
shrine, if that makes sense, or to finding a
Yeah.
star. You know.
Yeah.
So it's cool because like there's always something to do, but it does kind of make them feel a little bit less special.
hmm
So,
I really want to play that game. There's just so much other like have a kind of strict game schedule right now. Like I'm doing Tales of the Shire. I've got Tears that I want to do again, and then Pokemon is coming out in October, and I have a
right.
feeling like I'm pretty like sucked up on time before I can get to Donkey Kong. So we'll see.
How is Tales of the Shire? Yeah, have you kind of like put your own spin on the game? Like, are the reviews too harsh? Like, what's
I would say
we
the
don't have to
reviews
get into
are
it, I
too
guess, in
harsh.
depth. I
Yeah,
guess.
we'll get into it in depth in our other show. I would say that the reviews are too harsh, but I would also say that it's not like the most spectacular thing in the world, but that I went in with like I feel like I went in with okay expectations and I'm getting what I went in for. And so far I've done about 9 hours and I want to say I'm a 7 out of 10. There's more time for it to go either way for me. I think maybe at the end of the day I might go down to a 6.5. We'll see. But I can see people are getting a little oversaturated with the cozy genre, and I think that's the result. And what the reviews for this game is the result of that. So I feel like the online reviews are a little unfair. But overall, it's like a storybook kind of
Hmm.
view, and it's magical, and I love it. But I will say it's not like the most like intriguing insane, amazing, cozy game I've ever played. You know what I mean?
That's kind of the critiques that I heard. I know that you had said like maybe it was like people wanting like a Lord of the Rings like RPG or something that we're getting like an Animal Crossing style game. That hasn't been what I've heard. Like I feel like I've just kind of like heard like it's maybe just lacking in variety and just engagement. So I was curious to see what you thought. And I heard that there were some technical problems too.
Yeah, I think it depends on what system you're playing on. I think PC is definitely the best.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I was playing it on my Switch 1, it would look worse.
Yeah, is that what you're playing it on? Is the PC?
No. I'm playing on Switch 2. I'm just saying if I was playing it on Switch 1, it would look worse. But I feel like I don't know. I see this game and I'm like, this is stuff that's understandable, and then I look at the same exact things that are happening that were happening in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and I'm like, that's unacceptable. Versus in Tales, where it's a small developer group, it's their first game, I can understand like some of these very small, minute glitches. You know.
I pretty much heard, and we'll cap it at that. I pretty much heard like they were forced to release this game like way earlier than.
Oh, I would
intended.
have to like. I would have to dig a little bit to.
I don't know if that's true.
Lore.
Yeah, that's just like what I read. So, yeah, we'll talk about this on Middle Earth the podcast. So yeah, look forward to an in-depth discussion on that. You'll kind of have to steer that ship because I don't think Corey or I have played that. I know I
asked
haven't.
Corey at the marathon if he would, and he was like, "Nah, that's not really my cup of tea. I'm worried that like." It would be cute, but then like the Tolkien fan in me wouldn't like. And I would actually say that the Tolkien fan in him would probably like it. There's a lot of like little Easter eggs and mentions here and there that are pretty accurate. So, but yeah, I would say this is definitely not your guys' cup of tea.
I knew it wouldn't be mine, and I think like if the reviews for it were so positive, I could have been swayed to get it, but yeah, it kind of went the other way. It went the way of Phantom Hourglass, let's just say. Which is actually unfair, because I think Phantom Hourglass reviewed very well, but...
oh, yeah.
But yeah.
I also want to point out it's a $40 game. It's not like a full, $70 game.
I had a dream last night, Al, and I saw Metroid Prime 4 for $140 Canadian.
Wow.
Which is not even, like, that outrageous. Like, well, I mean, obviously it is outrageous, but, like, not that... Like, you're not stretching the realm of possibility that much. Like, it's like... Games are, I think Donkey Kong, it was like $100. Some other games are $110 Canadian. These are desperate times that we're living in.
Wild.
Alas, though, we do have Al's got somewhere to be, and I've got a game to play. So we better get right to business here, Al.
Let's do it.
And we need to definitively rank The Legend of Zelda: Phantom Hourglass. And
I'm so excited.
So I will say, when we were talking, Al and I were chatting about this last week, and Al was like, "When's the last time you played this game? Like, are you going to be fair to this game?" And I will admit to everybody here, it's probably been a hot 5 years since I've played Phantom Hourglass. I've played it enough times though that like I know what I like and I know what I dislike about the game. But yeah, just to be transparent, we did not play this before the game. And I felt like I wanted to mention that just because I am going to be taking this game to task for a few things.
Yeah. And to be honest, I feel like there's stuff that I'm definitely going to be giving 2s for. Like 2s, I feel like that's as low as I'll go. I have a feeling you're going to give a lot of 1 and 2s. I don't think I'll give any 5s.
I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. Well, let's just get right into it. And for anybody that is uninitiated into how definitive ranking works, this is what we're going to do. We are going to take the 10 essential ingredients that make up a great Zelda game. We're talking the world, the art style, the story, the pacing and progression, the gameplay / combat, the items and abilities, the dungeons, the enemies and bosses, the side content, and the music. So those 10 categories make up the perfect Zelda game, okay? And we're going to be ranking each of those subcategories with a score. 1 means that this game brutalized those categories and did not live up to expectations. 5 means that it excelled in those expectations and really just went above and beyond. And obviously 2, 3, and 4 are somewhere in the middle. So that being said, we are going to get started. We are going to jump to our first category here, Al, and we are going to the world of Phantom Hourglass. I would like to have you kick off, actually, because I think like you're more familiar with the game. You're definitely more in tune with it. I have a thought in my mind, but I want to see if you can sway me.
Okay. I don't know if I will be able to. We'll see. So, as far as the world goes, I think it's not like the most incredible world there is. So, I'm obviously not going to give it a 5, but I feel like there's charm to it. There's familiarity to the sailing of the sea because this came after Wind Waker. Um, there's some like evolution to traveling to the different islands and the grappling for the treasure in the ocean. Like it's the same as Wind Waker, but just like slightly evolved, I guess,
Yeah.
or at least seen in a slightly different way because you have to play it on a different console. There's not a whole lot of like there's more islands than just the standard ones you have to go to, but I wouldn't say there's like a whole lot, so it does feel a little bit empty. But there's like charm to the characters, to what the islands are. They're like shaped by like different things, like DS Island or Whale Island. The ones that matter are a little bit like bigger that you can explore. And then like the characters and the different races. I love how they have different races and they introduce the Anuki. And they have like, I don't know, there's just like a charm to it. I wouldn't say it's as charming as like Minish Cap, but there's just something about it that's just kind of like quaint and cute and fun.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say 3. I wouldn't like go so far that it's a 2, but I'm gonna say 3.
You know what? I am surprised to say this, but I am going to give it a 3 as well.
Okay.
For kind of the same reasons that you said, actually. Like, on one hand, I feel like the world feels smaller than Wind Waker. On the other hand, I feel like Wind Waker almost feels too big. Like there's too much water in that game, and it takes you maybe longer than it should to get from point A to point B. And I feel like Phantom Hourglass, in a way, cuts down on the sailing that you need to do, and it automates the sailing as well, which helps big time. But I kind of do feel like there are like some classic spots that you can go to that do make it a little bit more, I don't know, different, I guess, than Wind Waker. Like DS Island is always the first thing that pops in my mind. It's just like a crazy locale. But like you have like Goron Island, you have some of the other places that you go to. Forgive me, I can't remember where the Anuki actually live, but I thought that island was cool. I at the same time, like,
what the island is called, but it's where the ice temple is.
I know, not Merkay Island.
No, Merkay's the original island, the first island you're on.
Oh God, this is gonna bug me. But we'll come back to this. If anyone in chat knows, help us out because we're dying. But I think like the world.
Oh, Isle of Frost.
Isle of Frost. Oh, I guess that makes sense.
And the Uke. Also, they introduced the Uke.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they do. I don't think that the world is my bone of contention with Phantom Hourglass. I do wish that they had done a little bit more to differentiate it from the Wind Waker. Like, in some kind of way. Like, I guess if you're going to make a direct sequel, like, this is what you have to do. But I think of, like, all the Zelda games, though, this world feels the most kind of copy and paste. Except, I guess, maybe for, like, A Link Between Worlds and Tears of the Kingdom. But even then, I don't know. So I'm going to go, like, right down the middle. I'm going to give it a 3. I don't think that the issues that this game has are really about the world. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, and like you said, the exploration of the world is nice because it's like automated. You just draw and your ship goes, and then you have to deal with the obstacles that are in your way. And also I like how the way that you explore the world is you have to get the quadrant maps, and I think that's kind of fun. And it's like, it's not safe to traverse there because you don't have the map. So, and then the way that you can also like draw on your map certain things, like where treasure is, the path to get through the fog, where the ghost ship is. I just think a lot of that makes the world a little bit more interactive and fun. So like, yeah, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but I also don't think it's the worst. I think it's pretty average as far as like a small, what am I trying to say?
Like a smaller scale game.
Smaller scale. Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say.
I got you.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with that. let's move on to the art style. And you know what? When we talk about the art style, I think we also have to talk about just like the graphical performance of the game as well. Like I feel like those are one and the same. And for that reason, this is a 1.
I knew it.
This game, I mean, this game looks horrible. You know, I'm sorry. I really am. Like, I like the Toon Link presentation from the Wind Waker. That game looks gorgeous, but like, you know, like when you have a picture and you highlight it and you're just like, I got to make it smaller to fit somewhere, and you just like shrink it and it looks pixelated and terrible. That's what this game is.
Where you blow it up and it looks pixelated and awful.
Right. Well, like, either way can look bad. It doesn't look natural, and I would say that about this game. Like, it just this game looks rough. It's probably the worst looking Zelda game, to be honest. Even like I think Spirit Tracks is better looking than this game. I just, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like it's really tough because like the nature of this game, it's a direct sequel, right? And Spirit Tracks at least went in a different direction than this game did, because like inevitably when you look at Phantom Hourglass, knowing that it's on a lesser powered system, you know that, but like you cannot help but compare it to the Wind Waker. And if you're gonna do that, I've said this before, you either have to be better than, you can be worse than, or you can be different than. And Spirit Tracks at least went different than, and Phantom Hourglass is worse than. This game looks, it's rough. It looks really bad. I don't know how else to say it.
I can't in good conscience say a 1. I think I'm going to give it a 2 because there's a bunch of stuff that you said that I agree with you. However, there's some uniqueness to like the character sprite designs, introducing new characters and like how cute they look. I wouldn't say the islands are anything to write home about. They're kind of just like standard blocks, to be honest. A lot of how the shapes are, but like some of the buildings are kind of nicely shaped and different. And I would say like you like your enemies that you know and love from other games are kind of like evolved in a way where it's slightly different but almost the same. So it's like not, I don't know, it's not like crazy looking. And then I love like the Goron design. I love the Anuki design. I love a lot of the bosses designs. I think they're really cool, and like how they're incorporated into the gameplay as well. So yeah, I'm not gonna bump myself up to a 3 because there's a lot I agree with you on. The proportion size in this game is so weird. Like you go up to the Temple of the Ocean King and Link is the same size as the door, and it's really odd. And I don't know if it's because like the angles that you're looking at the game at, or just because you're in this cramped DS game, you can't have like proportions of a giant temple. Link's whole head looks bigger than the door. So I don't know. There's stuff like that does bug me, and it is not the greatest looking thing, but part of it gives me charm. Like I feel charm from it, and there's some designs, like character design specifically, that I think are actually really good. So I'm gonna give it a 2.
That's fair. I think like you could definitely look at this game and like there's charm there for sure. I just like, I mean, like every dungeon, I didn't even touch on this, but like if you go to a dungeon, like it's basically just like walls of like one color, you know, like every floor in Temple of the Ocean King basically looks the same. It's kind of got the same monochromatic, like, and most of the dungeons are like that as well. There are some cool parts to this game. Like I don't want to make it seem like there's not, but yeah, I don't know what to say here. I think it's a rough looking game that could have used. I think it just could have used a completely different art direction, to be honest. Like one that doesn't invoke those comparisons to Wind Waker, because like it never. Technically speaking, there's nothing that the developers could have done to make it look as good as that game. This looks like an early N64 game, and it doesn't even. In my opinion, it doesn't even use that to its benefit. Because I think that you can have some charm with that, but yeah, I don't know. All right, let's move on to story. So I think, Al, that your mileage with this story pretty much lives and dies on how much you like Linebeck.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair?
No.
There is the story about Ciela, and like
I would say that the story is primarily about Ciela and
yes.
Link and Tetra, and that Linebeck does add like a big bit to it just because he's so funny and like such a not great man.
Well, let me
Like,
explain myself. Like, yes,
okay.
there's an active story, of course, like going on with Ciela and like the ocean, whatever the ocean
The Ocean
god.
King.
Yes, like so that's your like overall overarching story, but like it basically is like so in the background for most of the game that like I think like really like the game story is about the rapport between Linebeck and Link and like how that growing begrudging friendship kind of develops. And I think that if you're really into that, the story is probably really good. If you're not into that, the story is average at best, I would say.
Um, yeah, I'm okay with saying average at best because I wouldn't say even if you're really into like Link and Linebeck's relationship that it is the like deepest thing there is,
Right.
like, and I feel like it's kind of like what I said about Echoes of Wisdom Story. I didn't need it to be deep. And I'm pretty sure I only gave that a 3
Mm-hmm.
back in the day. I could look.
Back in the September day.
I gave it a 4 because I would agree that maybe Echoes is a slightly better story than Phantom Hourglass. But I'm gonna say 3 for story for Phantom Hourglass because it is average, I want to say, at best. It's the villain's not that compelling. I do like Linebeck's story. I do like Ciella's story. I do like what you discover about the Ocean King in the end.
Yeah.
I do like what like the different little aspects that you can go find out about the different people and races of this world. Yeah, I think it's like fun, and that's all it really needed to be.
I'm gonna give it a 2.
Hmm.
Because yeah, I don't there's a few like little micro stories which I think are okay, but on the whole it does tell like a really weak narrative. I think like the final boss is just you know very
I
just a
think the
bland
only redeeming
monster.
thing about the final boss is Bellenbeck, is
Yeah.
that the fact that Linebeck gets involved.
And that's kind of what I mean, because like the only reason you care about that final boss is because now your friend, who you've grown, close with over the course of the game, is now kind of inhabited by this boss, right? So like that
Hmm.
that adds some stakes to it to me. But like other than that, this could have been the boss in like the first dungeon of the game, and it
Yeah,
wouldn't have
true.
felt out of place. So I think that
Hmm.
that's really tough. I don't think Ciela is like a particularly engaging like companion. She's fine, but like
Hmm.
am I gonna say she's as great as like Fee or Midna or Navi or even like Tattle? I'm not, or the King of Red Lions for that matter, as an easy comparable. Like no, um, I think the only reason I'm not giving it a 1 is because I do think that Linebeck does add to the story, and there's like definitely some funny interactions and funny character moments with Linebeck. I really like the subplot with like his Gerudo ex girlfriend, like, so
Yeah.
that one's good, but other than that, like it really doesn't have much going for it. I hate to
Hmm.
say.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think, like I said, to me, it's like it didn't need to have much going for it. I think
Yeah.
it's just one of those games where it's like it's fun and it's quaint, but it didn't need to be that deep. So I'm okay with giving it a 3.
Okay. Pacing and progression. This is going to be a hot topic, and you know what? I feel like as we do all like any time that we do this, we need to explain like what pacing and progression is, because in a good Zelda game, you don't notice this hardly at all because you're constantly on the move from one thing to another. But pacing and progression basically is the idea that like you're always moving, you're never stuck, you're never frustrated, and you're kind of like up up to speed with where you need to go, right? Like you know good pacing when you see it, and you know bad pacing when you see it too. An example of bad pacing, okay, it's like in Twilight Princess after you do the Temple of Time and you take forever to activate
Yeah.
all of the parts of the Dominion Rod. That's bad pacing.
Hmm.
Good pacing, I would say, like perfect pacing in a Zelda game is like Ocarina of Time, which just has you like bam, 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 bam from dungeon to dungeon to dungeon to story to story. Like that is to me excellent pacing.
Hmm.
Um, this game, I'm trying to see how fair or unfair this statement is, but like because like you go back to the whole argument for pacing here is going to be like, well, you got to go back to the Temple of the Ocean King like 800 times in order to do this game. And that will completely kill the pacing of the game for many. And I think that's fair. Allison, I think, is going to argue, I'm talking for you here, Al, but I think Allison is going to argue that, like, yes, you do have to go back there, but you can streamline how you go back there, and there's shortcuts and other things like that, in a way that's not dissimilar from a Metroidvania. My counter to that would be, I guess, like, you're right, you can do that, but is it fun? And I think a lot of the times I might say no. I don't know if it's all that fun. So I'm a little bit conflicted here, actually. I don't quite know what score to give it. I'm conflicted between low scores, I will be honest. But, like, let me hear your argument, Al. Let me see if you could sway me.
I want to say, like, off the bat, I understand and will validate that going back to Temple of the Ocean King many times is very frustrating and a pace killer. I am not blind to that fact. I think that there are the special cases, like, say, me, Catherine, Judy, Mossie's, Palmer, that know how to streamline it and are eager to... You have the Mossies of the world who are, like, eager to go find all the secrets of that place, you know? And, like, eager to face the challenge of, like, trying to get through all of it and have 25 minutes still on your timer. You have those people in the world, but I will concede that it is a pace killer. So I'm not going to be outrageous and give it a 5. I'm not even going to be outrageous and give it a 4. I'm going to say the pacing, I'm oscillating between 2 and 3. I might give it a 3, though. That the Temple of the Ocean King is kind of a pace killer, but there's ways that you can, like, do 2 portions in one. And if you didn't have to go to Temple of the Ocean King so often, I feel like the pacing would be so much better, because there aren't that many. Well, there's like 6 dungeons, and they're not that, like, crazy long or anything like that. Some of them are a little bit more difficult than others, but some of them are actually really fun. So I feel like the pacing and progression is fine. It's just that caveat of having to go back to Temple of the Ocean King. So I'm gonna stick with 3, I think.
I don't know if you convince me. I think I'm going to stick with a 1. I hate to say. Because, like, you know what? Like, you're right. Like, you definitely can streamline it. And if you're dedicated to this game, you can figure out ways to do that. But, like, I guess I'm looking at it from the perspective of, like, Joe Zelda player fires up Phantom Hourglass, right? It doesn't really... It's his first time playing it. And it's just like, oh, my God. Like, I have to go back here again? Like, really? I was just here. And a lot of it, like, you know, if for the uninitiated, you have to repeat a lot of those same floors. So I don't think there's a way to not give it a 1 for me. I was thinking maybe you could talk me into a 2. And we're just talking about Temple of the Ocean King. Like, I think for the most part, like, the rest of the game is, like, okay, like, pacing wise.
That's what I'm saying. Is if you didn't have to go back to the Temple of the Ocean King 5-6 times,
yeah,
I could understand. And I think we figured out a way to only do it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Which, again, is still a lot. It's still a lot. And even when you go back through the rooms and you have the new tool, they're not that long. But that isn't to say that doesn't still stop you from your adventure to go back to get this thing to continue your adventure. It is a lot like the Dominion Rod stuff in Twilight Princess, or like Song of the Hero in Skyward Sword. It is a lot like those moments.
It's good you bring that up.
Stop and go do this thing.
Yeah, like, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I feel like I might seem duplicitous here, Al, if I was to knock going back to Temple of the Ocean King when I've said before, like, I really like getting the Song of the Hero in Skyward Sword. I think it comes back to, like, and this kind of bleeds into, which we'll get into for dungeons, but, like, is going back fun? Is it different enough that it makes going back there, like, different? And like, when you go back to, even, like, to get the Tad tones in Skyward Sword, I feel like that's really different and offers something that you haven't done before, where going back into Temple of the Ocean King, I do think, you know, that you've done that before. And I'm a Metroidvania fan. Like, I have no problem backtracking and going to places and unlocking, like, secrets further and further in. I think it does come back to, like, is what you're doing fun? And I don't know if I can justify saying that it is. I was thinking about it too, because I think the rest of the game is okay. I don't know if I can pull that trigger. I don't think I can.
I think that's fair, and I think you're right. I think it's based on who is playing the game, and for you, it's not fun. For me, I'm like, this isn't a bad time.
Yeah.
And Mossie's is like, I'm having a blast. So
Mossie's is like strangely in love with Phantom Hourglass. like he's the most pro Phantom Hourglass guy I think I've ever met, and I don't get it.
I think it was deserving that, even as badly as I wanted to beat him, it was deserving that he won. He does love Phantom Hourglass. At the marathon, he won the race between me and him.
I'm not co-signing that. I was cheering for his demise, Al.
I know. So was it was so sad. I felt bad because everybody was like, "Oh, Mossie's he's ahead now," and of course he's being a troll and being a goof about it. But everybody was so like disappointed. I was like, "No, come on, like don't be mean."
The heel won. Unfortunately, that happens sometimes. Okay, gameplay and combat. This is a 1. I'm sorry.
What? How can you say that?
Because
I need you to explain yourself.
This is a 1 because controlling Link feels horrible.
That's the only thing that you.
But that's the entire game. The entire game is built around how you move. If you were playing Ocarina of Time, and you had to move the character around with DK bongo drums or a DDR dance pad instead of like a regular controller.
Don't people do that with A Link to the Past?
They sure do, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. It doesn't mean that the majority of people have to like it. This is the biggest fault of the DS games. If they would just control regularly without the stylus nonsense, this could be a very different score. But unfortunately, like this permeates to every single aspect of the game. So like, yes, the combat, you can have like all of these special moves and all of these things and all these cool ways to use your item. And I will acknowledge that, like, I think sailing with the stylus is cool. I think some of the items that you can use with the stylus are cool, which we'll get to. But like, I hate the stylus controls. I think they feel terrible. I don't like doing it. It hurts my hand. And I think it was a huge mistake. So this is a 1. And if I could give it a 0, I would.
Oh my God. I feel like it's unfair to base it entirely on Link's movement.
How is that unfair?
Because there's more to it than just Link's movement. There's a whole new gameplay aspect that they introduced because it's on the DS, and they're like, look, you could do all this stuff with the items with your stylus. You could combat with your stylus. You could tap over here and roll. You could do
None of it matters if you hate using the stylus, though.
I feel like most people aren't out here playing Phantom Hourglass for 8 hours where their arms are gonna fucking hurt, and that
F-bomb.
means to get it out, Cal. You just made me mad with this 1 on gameplay, and it's such garbage just because you hate moving Link.
Let me tell you something. I'm not talking about playing it for 8 hours. I'm talking for playing like an hour at a time. It feels terrible.
I so disagree with that. Like,
that's fine. You can give your own score, but like I think it's terrible.
I think that moving Link is not the best. I can give you that. But I don't think it's so horrible that it gives the whole game play and combat a 1. I'm going to say because of like the uniqueness and like the way that you could solve puzzles with the gameplay and the way you move with the stylus and like the combat that you have with like the boss fights, and you have to use like the different screens and all that kind of stuff. I just think that there's so much uniqueness to this, and I was gonna give it a 3, but now I'm mad, so I'm gonna give it a 4. You
can do whatever you want. That's fine. You know what? Like, listen, it does have some unique things. That's great. That's awesome. None of it matters if controlling the game makes you miserable and you don't like it. That's the end of the discussion. Like, there is a lot of clever ways that you can use items in this game, and it doesn't matter.
Say to people who don't like playing Skyward Sword because of the motion controls.
That's fair.
Aren't you usually like, yeah, I've never really had an issue with motion controls, but there's so much uniqueness to the game that it kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, well, but that's me. I think if you were telling, like, Rod Lloyd, okay, one of my oldest friends at Zelda Dungeon, he hates Skyward Sword, and you know what? To be fair, actually, he doesn't hate it for the motion controls. He hates it for other things, which I will push back on. But like, if someone's just like, listen, I can't stand Skyward Sword's motion controls, that's it, because the game is built around motion controls. If they don't work for you, the game doesn't work for you. Like, if stylus controls don't work for you, this game doesn't work for you.
I feel like I have to say that if it comes down to an accessibility issue, totally agree. Um, but when I talk about like Skyward Sword and the motion controls, I'm usually a get over it kind of attitude, and I'm going to be the same here. So I'm going to give it a 4.
Well,
Just to be
okay,
in
but
fun.
like, you can't just tell someone like get over it and like it. Like, you can't do that. Like, if they either like it or they don't, and like, like.
I think that's it. That's all I got to say. Let's move on.
All right, 0 and 4. I'm. You know what? I'm gonna change my answer to a 0. The first ever 0 given on definitive ranking.
I can't give a 0% on Zelda percentages, but you can give a 0 on definitive ranking.
That's right. That's
This
how
is
this.
clearly the Andy Spiteri show. Like,
This is how this rolls. Fine, I'll change it to a 1.
like
Okay.
0.5.
Yeah, give it a 0.01. No zeros allowed. Okay, let's go to the item. Allison dropped an F-bomb here. I will have edited this out,
I'm so sorry.
but I want everybody to know that I almost had to call the police on Allison here.
The police.
That's right.
Oh my god. Sorry, when I get fired up, my cheeks are all red too. Like I get fired up, and then the F bombs come out. Like, I gotta chug some water really quick.
Okay, items here, Allison. Items.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so this is where I will grant you that some of the stylus controls work for how you have the items. The boomerang.
I feel like you should incorporate that into your gameplay ranking.
No. That's why items have their own category. Gameplay is just like the core game mechanic of the game. And the core game mechanic of this game is terrible.
The core mechanic of the game is like stylus controls, which is
Yes.
incorporated into the items. When I rank items, I'm thinking about like the variety of the items.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so what I'm saying is like the way that the stylus controls are worked into the items, it does give some of them some okay properties. Like I think the boomerang and the bomb shoes stick out to me as ones. I even you know what, the bow and arrow isn't terrible because you can just tap where you want your arrow to go. That feels fine. But I still don't know if I'm going to be convinced to go super super high. I think I'll give him a 3, and I think that's being like generous. I don't have much else to say about the items, actually. I don't know. I can't remember, like, I don't think that there's any, like, really new, super cool items that are introduced. You might be able to correct me here, Al, but, I think that they're probably one of the stronger points of Phantom Hourglass. I will say that.
I really like the majority of the items. You get the boomerang and the bomb shoes and the arrows, and a lot of those things are different and evolved because of how you can gameplay and control the game. And but you also have like around. Really awesome items like the hammer and the grapple rope or whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called in this game. But the way that you have to use those to solve your problems and your puzzles is really cool. I think the hammer is the greatest item in that whole game. It is the most OP. It's why we go and do the last temple like as soon as we can do it, because then you can use the hammer to just like annihilate the rest of the game. It's fantastic. And the puzzles that you get with that hammer are so fun. And then also the puzzles that you get with the rope are also very fun. Like you can make this kind of like rope where you like stretch out on it and it launches you onto like platforms. I think that's so creative and so fun. So I'm gonna say 4 actually for these items because they're enhanced by the way you have to use them.
You know, I do like the hammer a lot, and the rope is pretty cool.
I feel like it's a big highlight of the game is the items.
Yeah. I think I'll leave it at 3. Although if I were to go 3.5, that would be my score because like the items are a highlight. I think that you can separately have like some items that are enhanced by the stylus controls, but the overall package I think is still detracted by them. So I think that those things can live in harmony together. So yeah, I think 3, but you're right. There are some definitely like cool uses for those items. Let's go to dungeons.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm kind of on one hand, like I don't hate the Temple of the Ocean King.
Uh-huh.
I do dislike going back there so much. I do think it's a buzzkill. I think on the other hand, like the rest of the dungeons are pretty like okay. Like I think like the Goron dungeon is fine. I think the actually, I would even say I think the Goron dungeon is maybe pretty fun. I think like the ghost ship is good. The other ones like the Temple of Fire, Temple of Wind, those are like Temple of Ice. Like I feel like those are like okay. I guess I'm just trying to balance like I think that there's two really fun dungeons in the game, the Ghost Ship and the Goron Temple. I think the rest of them are kind of okay, and I think the Temple of the Ocean King is the X factor that kind of like you can go back and forth on. So I'm trying to land on a score that is like I don't know, harmonious with everything there. I'm thinking maybe like a 3, just middle of the road. I don't know, Al. What would you say?
I would actually say 3 as well because I feel like the dungeons are pretty average. I feel like some of them have some uniqueness to them. Like the ghost ship is a little bit unique where you have to help the Krobus sisters
Yeah.
back to each other, and it's not just like solve a puzzle, go through the door kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
more like solve a teeny tiny puzzle and then make sure you help like stealth these sisters back together and then you fight them in the end. And I think that's really unique and awesome. I think that there's some uniqueness to each individual dungeon, specifically like Temple of Courage has some really interesting puzzles with like
Yeah.
direction. I think Muto's Temple is definitely like one of the better ones when it comes to puzzles and like the cool stuff that you figure out along the way to get to one of the cooler bosses. I also think that even though I struggle with the Ice Temple, it is a pretty like substantial dungeon. In that they have these giant rooms that are all just like one giant puzzle, and that you figure it out to get back, progress. And then you have the Goron Temple where you take control of both Link and Don Goron or whatever the young Goron's
Yeah.
name is,
I
and
think that one's the best in the game.
that's also very unique. So I feel it gives me like the same as like vibes as Link and Cafe from Majora's Mask. So, yeah, I feel like they have uniqueness, but at the same time, they're kind of like generic looking sounding dungeons.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say 3 because they're a little bit average, and if I could give a 3.5, like you said with the last category, I would, but I can't. So I'm gonna say 3.
I think if I could give a 2.5, I would, but I'm gonna go up to 3 for basically what you said. For me, like and this bleeds into the art style, so I'm trying not to let it influence me here. But like I do think like the dungeons just are they're nothing to look at and they're nothing to listen to, as we'll get to as you correctly point out. So yeah, I don't know, but there are some really fun like dungeons that I think are
Aspects
in this
to the
game.
dungeons, I would
Yeah,
say,
aspects. Yeah.
yeah.
So to 3, I don't know, like Temple of the Ocean King. I feel like I think like it's gonna live or die, depend on like if you don't mind, like if you can stomach Temple of the Ocean King, you know?
Yeah, I didn't even talk about Temple of the Ocean King, which I feel like says a lot actually, but because sometimes I don't feel like it's a dungeon because you go back to it so often, you
Almost,
solve a
yeah.
few rooms, and then you go and actually do a dungeon. So sometimes it doesn't feel like one, so I usually don't count it, but I feel like that solidifies it even more as a 3 to me.
Yeah. Um, Enemies and bosses. Let's go here. What? I took the first one last time, Al. What do you think about the bosses of this game? There is one in
I feel
particular I think is fantastic.
Yeah, the I would say the enemies are pretty average and fine. It's the bosses where this game stands out. It has a lot of actually really great bosses. Fraz, incredible. The like mechanic of beating Fraz, so fun. Cyclock, also very fun. I hate Crake, but the gimmick of Crake is awesome.
Yeah,
Um, Eox is probably the best boss fight.
definitely.
The Krobus sisters are a really fun boss fight, even though it can be painful at times. You have Gleeok, I believe, from the Ice Temple, a
Yep.
fun boss. They're all just so fun, and like they have a different Dongarongo, also a fun boss. I feel like they're just so fun and they have different things going on where you're incorporating the items and everything, just like a traditional Zelda game would. So I wouldn't give the enemies anything to write home about, but the bosses are actually exceptional. So I'm gonna give this category a 4.
You know what? I'm gonna give it a 4 too. Just to
Yes.
just to get back into Allison's good books here. Um, yeah, I think like with actually like one exception, which is unfortunately the big exception, but like I think the bosses are really fun. I think like the Cuba sisters and Eox are standouts for me. Eox is like a
Mhm.
fantastic boss. Like that is just like
Yeah,
a really
Eox is a
fun one.
blast.
How the Don Gorongo. I think that one's
Dongarongo.
actually really fun too. And
Yeah.
you know what? I will say, like, the knights, or the phantoms in Temple of the Ocean King, I think deserve mention as well. Like, they look cool,
Yeah, they're unique.
they're
Yeah.
menacing, and there is some creativity that you need to do to get around them. I was thinking of 3, actually, before I kind of circled back to there, and thought about the phantoms, because I think you're right. Like, the enemies of the game are, like, whatever. Like, they're nothing... They're nothing you haven't seen before in another Zelda
Mhm.
game, probably done better. But I do think, and this is where I will again concede that like the gameplay for some of these bosses, like Eox, I think does a good job of utilizing the DS like dual screen gameplay mechanic, and so I think
Mhm.
that is cool. The Cuba Sister is the same thing. I think that is cool as well. So like it's not like the gameplay is bad, and I know we're coming back to that, but I like there are aspects about it I like. I guess what I'm saying is like that the whole package, I would change it because I think that the
Mhm.
positive aspects do not outweigh the overall negative experience, but I do want to give the positive aspects some flowers here. I will say Bellum is just like if you were gonna whiff on one boss in the game, like did it have to be Bellum? You know,
Mhm.
I don't think that's a really fun fight. The ship part is actually okay, I will say.
That's weird because that's like my least. If I ranked them, it would be Ship, Bellum, and then Bellenbeck.
I sometimes I just kind of like blasting the cannon or whatever. Like it's,
Mhm.
um,
It just,
but
to me, aside from going back to the fact that the ghost ship is controlled by Bellum, it seems very pointless in between Bellum and Bellenbeck to me.
yeah,
But it provides a setting for Bellenbeck, so that's fair. And I feel like Bellum, the fight itself is interesting. It's just not very fun. You have to like, bring his little eyeball to you and you wail on him, then he goes
yeah,
up to the pillars and you shoot his eyeballs on his tentacles, and then eventually you get the it just feels like it drags on a little too long for what they're trying to do because you just do the same stuff over and over. Just like any Zelda boss, it's just a little too long. But then when you get the sand to do the hourglass symbol, and then you go and pause time and go like wail on him, I think that part is actually pretty nifty and like kind of gives you the vibe of what you've been working towards this whole time, like why you've been getting all the sand from all these bosses, why you've been getting more time in your hourglass, how you can use Ciella's power to stop Bellum. I think that part is cool, but yeah, some of there's a lot of it that leaves, to be desired, basically. But the Bellum back
yeah.
fight is super fun.
I yeah, Bellenbeck is okay. Um, this whole fight actually just like it doesn't work for me. I think it's just a bad it's a bad look like when the weakest boss fight of the game is like the final boss, and I also think that you have to grade a final boss differently, like because there should be more expectations on a final
Mm-hmm.
boss fight, like so that one I think I could make a case like if the Balam boss fight was like awesome, I could have been talked into giving this a 5.
Mm-hmm.
I really could have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but I mean, it's if this is the highest score I will give, and this is what I was earmarking for, like a high score. So there's that.
Okay,
But yeah, I
fair
just
enough.
too bad about Bellum. Okay, side content and extras. So I have a thought here, and I think you'll hate it.
Okay.
There is a ton of side content here. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
there's a ton of it. I don't think any of it is all that fun to do, and I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
do hardly any of it. I I don't want to give my score yet, Al. I don't want to
Okay.
do it.
I mean, I feel. Uh, let me put this caveat here that I haven't done a lot of the side content in a many, many, many years.
Yeah, okay.
Um, I know that Catherine actually just recently like replayed the whole game in its entirety. She might even 100% it except for the ship parts after the marathon, and she said she had a blast. So there is a ton of side content. There is more to do besides the main quest. There are other islands to explore. There are ship pieces to collect and build your ship up, change how it looks on while you're sailing around. There's treasure to hunt, there's mini games. There is a lot. But I would agree with you. I don't feel too compelled to go and do it, and
Yeah.
to like I'm trying to remember when I did do it if I had like a really fun time, and I don't think I did. So I feel like the fact that it has side content, good, and the fact that some of it is fun, good. But I don't know if I'm like really compelled to go and do it, especially not the random ship parts. That isn't almost impossible nowadays. I'm gonna give it I'm gonna give it a 3 because like it's average to me, and I could go do it and probably find some stuff that's fun, but like I'm not super Jones to do it.
Okay. So in terms of the actual side content, so we know that there's heart pieces. That's a tried and true staple.
Hmm.
Aside from that, and aside from ship parts and like the treasure and all that kind of stuff, there's a few mini games I think hidden around. What else is there? Like I know you can get the golden frogs that allow you to warp.
Hmm.
What else is there? And maybe this is where my 5 years since playing it is coming into play here, but like I legit can't remember what else there is.
There's like the letter system where you get a lot of letters from people, which is
Oh,
kind of fun.
that's true.
Yeah. It was kind of funny at the marathon, poor Judy, she soft locked her game so she couldn't continue. So she kept going to the mailbox and like reading all her letters, going to talk to all the different Gorons because she was literally stuck on Goron Island. That's where
Yeah,
you get soft locked. And she was just like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna read these letters, learn more about Goron Island."
might as
I
well.
felt so bad, but she was such a trooper about it. I mean, that was
Uh,
plenty of side content right there.
I'm gonna give it a 1.
Woof.
I'm sorry. I just like
feel like
there is the
if
gems too. That is correct. There is the gems. I guess it just comes back to like I don't feel compelled to do any of this. Like the ship
mhm.
parts, I just like whatever. I just have no interest in doing that, especially because like they're all random.
It wasn't random, I would feel way more compelled because
Me
I'm a
too.
collector, and I'd be like, "Ooh, I have an incentive to go collect these
Me
and
too.
like customize my ship." I find that concept very fun, but the fact that it's randomized and almost impossible now, not it doesn't make it very fun sounding.
Yeah, and I think that actively drops my score actually because like the biggest side quest is like random and it is hard to do, and just letters and gems just like don't stir the drink for me. So
Mhm.
I hate to say
Fair
it.
enough.
Um,
I'm not gonna fault you on that one. I'm not gonna fault you on that one.
okay, just the other ones.
Just the other particular one,
Okay,
I'm still upset about.
the other particular one
Yeah,
score.
exactly.
Hey, you're lucky it's not 0, pal. Okay. All right, let's bring this home, Al. The music, Phantom Hourglass. Oh God, I'm gonna give it a 1.
Oh,
Come
okay.
on, come on. You cannot tell me that this game. This might
It's
be the
not a
worst sound.
5.
It might be the worst soundtrack in any Zelda game. It really might be. I would even say I think the Oracles have better
I
music than
would
this.
so disagree with that. The only Oracle song I remember are like the village songs and the one village song and the Dancing Dragon song.
Well, what about the Dancing Goron song?
Okay, when you said that, I kind of put it. No, that was the oh, what are the hooded people called? The Symbrosia
The
people? What are
Sabrosians.
they called? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I like their dance better than
they're
the Goron
cool.
dance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just like
Um.
this soundtrack is like Bellum's theme or Bellum's theme, Lineback's theme, excuse me, is probably the highlight.
Mhm.
I, I mean, like, I'm struggling to even think of another track that, like, um, that I would even say is like a like good to me. Like, they're all serviceable. I will say that they're serviceable tracks, but like, yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, Al, I cut you off. What do you think?
No, you didn't cut me off. It's so hard to disagree with you because like I'm over here like I love Linebeck, I love Ciela, I love Return of the Ocean King, I love Bellenbeck, like I love all those tracks. But to be honest, there's like a lot of tracks that are very forgettable, very recycled, very repetitive, and that's the majority of the soundtrack. So like I can't fault how you feel there or how other people feel. I know how other people feel like this is the weakest soundtrack, and I get it. And I'm not going to give it more than a 2. But I feel like the only reason I'm giving it a 2 is because I do have tracks that I really like, but it's not like it's 4 or 5 out of like, all the music in the game. So
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I
think if there was even like one track that you were like really passionate about, if you were just like, this is a bad soundtrack, but like this one track I love, like I think that's fine for a 2.
Yeah. Ghost Ship is also a good one too. It has its moments, but it's really not that strong. And I feel bad saying that because I'm over here and I'll advocate for some of those tracks all day, every day. But like, it's really hard when the rest of the soundtrack is not very strong.
Well, there it is. Stall for me for a sec here, Al, while I tally up our scores.
Okay. I mean, I can tally up my score too. And I'm going to hold to that 4 in combat and gameplay just because I was so salty by what you said. I literally was going into it giving it a 3. It's like that's what I was ready to do.
I'm glad that I could influence you, Al, and and bring that up for Phantom Hourglass. Listen, I think there will be a lot of people that probably agree with you and take umbrage with my score, but like I remember a conversation that Moss and I had. I gotta be like years ago at this point, and he was also just like, "Why do you dislike Phantom Hourglass so much? It's got great item usage. It's got great bosses. It's got great and all that's true, but it doesn't matter if controlling the character, which is your primary function in any video game basically that you play, just doesn't feel good or natural or." And I explained that to him, and I think he was really disheartened by that, because it's like, yeah, that's something that you really just can't get around. Like, you either like it or you don't. And I am disheartened when people say to me that they don't like Skyward Sword because of motion controls, because I'm like, there's such a great, amazing game there. But, it's just, it's not there, so...
I understand. Well, no, I don't. I mean, I understand what you feel about the movement, but I don't understand about the rest. I don't understand how that one thing could just change, like, could affect the rest of the really cool stuff in the game.
Because, like everything you do in the game is based around how you control Link and how Link moves. And if you don't like that, everything else that you do in the game suffers for it, right? Like everything. Skyward Sword, if you don't like motion controls, you're going to have a heck of a time with that game. Like imagine if Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, if every single shrine was like those awful gyro controlled shrines, right? Like imagine that every single, like those shrines could be awesome. There could be like a million creative ways to do it, but like if you have to control Link using the gyro controls, it doesn't matter because it's going to suck.
I kind of like those shrines.
Of course you do. Of course you do. All right.
I mean, they're not my favorite, but they're still fun.
Well, you wouldn't want an entire game of them, or at least I wouldn't. Here we go. We have a final score, an average of 2.0 for Andy on Phantom Hourglass. That's higher than I thought it was going to be.
So rough. Oh my god.
That's higher than what I was expecting, if I'm being honest. And 3.1 for Al, so like not that much higher. Just middle of the pack.
I feel like 3.1 is pretty solid. Like when you compare it to games like I've got Breath of the Wild at 4.1, Link to the Past at I got Link to the Past at 4.3. Minish Cap I gave 3.7.
There you go. So I will say this. Like unfortunately, the way that we do definitive ranking is like not all of these are always weighed equally in a game. So if these 10 things were a pie chart, the pie chart might differ for every game. And for me, like the gameplay is just like such a it's like a good 50 to 75% of like the pie chart here. So if that fails, like the rest of the game fails, which is why I've been a little bit more harsh on Phantom Hourglass.
Mm-hmm.
Which is too bad.
That is too bad. I feel like 3.1 is actually pretty.
That's solid.
I feel like people will probably be in the 2.7, 2.8 to the 3.2 range, I want to say. And then you got Mossies who might be like 3.6.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty good at my 3.1.
Well, I bet you we could actually look at what Moss's score for
Oh yeah, I'd be
this
interested
was.
for Moss's and Gooey's score.
You know what? Let's go look actually, because I'm sure that they've ranked this. Stall for me for a sec here, Al. Tell us the story.
They had the whole definitive ranking series, and I'm pretty sure they did every game in like 2.5 years. So
Oof.
I'm sure it's there.
Okay.
What's
Okay, so we have got for Mossy's 3.5, and he
I
gave
was so close.
He gave 5s to items and side content. He gave
Okay,
4s.
I feel like that makes sense for him though.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. He gave a 4 to pacing and progression, gameplay, and dungeons and enemies. So the higher score. Goo wasn't that far behind. He had a 3.2 definitive ranking, and also gave a 5 to items and a 4 to enemies and bosses and gameplay. So I will say the community and the staff scores were much lower. Staff scores as a whole were 2.7. So like,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh wait, didn't I say that was what? I think I said that's what people were gonna be. So yeah, I'm pretty close. I'm actually, I think I got this down for people.
3.0 is the community score. So.
Okay, that's fair. I think that makes sense to me.
Well, so I'm lower on this game than everybody, and that's fine. This will never be my favorite Zelda, unless they remake it and when put regular controls in.
If you can control Link normally, would that change everything?
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It totally would. So, for example, I know you haven't played it yet, which is really, I'm wagging my finger at you, but Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land. Okay, I'm saying, hear me out. So there are definitely stylus controls in that game that you need to do, but you can move Tingle with the joystick. That makes such a big difference for me.
Mm-hmm.
It does. Like, you don't have to hold your DS all the time. You don't have to constantly have your stylus out. You don't have to angle it. So, you know what I mean? Like, so yes, if you could just move Link normally for Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass, that totally changes the game.
Mm-hmm.
One day, maybe. We'll see.
One day. I just, in my mind, I compartmentalize. So I'm like, that is one aspect that, yeah, is kind of a pain, but I wouldn't let it affect all the other cool, unique things there are about Phantom Hourglass.
You're a bigger person than I am, Al. You're a better man than me.
I hope you get the flack this time.
Yeah, that's right. We had a nice... I was telling Al, like, it's nice that, like, you get flack for this A-list actor thing for once. She's like, I didn't really get any flack. And I was like, well, I know, but that's as close as I think we've ever got, so... Aside from that, it's like, oh, Andy said this. I can't wait for Corey to listen to this show and just be like, oh, actually, the stylus controls are the pinnacle of the Zelda series, and this is why you should have rated it a 6.
I don't think Corey would say that. I think Corey might be like, yeah, controlling Link with the stylus sucks, but the items are actually really cool.
Wow. Okay. So there it is. The definitive ranking of Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. Anything you want to add on to this before we get out of here, Al?
No, I'm good.
You're just
I'm
like,
good with where we landed.
All right, everybody. Well, then that is going to do it for us. Thank you for listening. Tell us what you think about our rankings of Phantom Hourglass. Come and join our Discord and get in on the action. Al and I, we try to be pretty active in there and get in with the Zelda Cast chat. And there's like a whole other bunch of Zelda chats in Zelda Dungeons Discord as well. So come on in and join the fun. Give us a follow over on Blue Sky at the Zelda Cast, at Spateri316, at Allison Aletha, and make sure that you are subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. Recommend, rating, reviewing, encouraging, sharing with your friends and loved ones, telling them about the Zelda Cast. I was out last week, Al, And I went to a food festival. I had my Zelda Cast t-shirt on, and I was ordering something, and some guy's like, "I love your shirt." And I was like, "Thanks, it's my podcast." He subscribed right there. So spread the good word about the Zelda Cast.
That's so fun.
It was cool. Yes. And hey, like I mentioned earlier, Gooey and I, yesterday, actually, we did a little podcasting doubleheader. We did the Zelda Cast XL. We answered a bunch of fan questions. We played Zelda Hurdle. We actually played a little bit of Guess That Zelda Character. We had a request to do that. And we just did a couple other things as well. We had a good time, and it was really nice. So go and check that out over on patreon.com/spnet. For any Metroid fans out there too, the Great Metroid Area Ranking, the final episode is being recorded on Tuesday. So
oh wow,
80 plus areas that have been ranked so far. So
that's wild.
It's been a journey. It's been over 2 years, Al, and it's all coming to a head. So go and check that out. And Zelda Dungeons YouTube page if you want to see these episodes in full and see our smiling faces, and as well as we stream them every Sunday, twitch.tv/ZeldaCast. That, my friends, is going to do it for us. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week. Till then, everybody, take care.
Bye.
Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this clip and want to see more of the Zelda Cast, make sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform of choice and subscribe. There are over 200 episodes in the vault that will provide you with hundreds of hours of Zelda content for you to enjoy. You can listen to us when you're on a walk, fighting Ganon, trying to sleep, whatever. And if you want to see these shows as they happen, make sure to head over to twitch.tv/thezeldacast, where you can watch our beautiful faces talk about Zelda every single week. Don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.